Good evening to our Bold Moves listeners. Welcome to our show, African Experience, and happy Valentine's Day to everyone. I hope you feel loved where you are. I hope you love yourself where you are. And as usual, I'm not alone, good people. Where would I be without my good host, Dr. Shamalani Ngwenya? So, as we all know, today is the 14th of February and it is Valentine's Day all over the world. So, this is a day of celebrating love. It's a day that everywhere traditionally the day has been very commercialized. We know that. Some people are tired, some people are loving it. So, today we are going to go deep into that. Everything is now red and white. Where I am in Freiburg, people came to the training in red and white in celebration of this day. So, but today, we are going to go beyond just that single day. Remember, we are going to go deep into love the African way. We want to take the opportunity to talk about love in general, but also we want to go deeper to understand the rich culture, to understand the traditions, to understand practices that go with this day. So, and we are going to do it the African way. So, today's show, ladies and gentlemen, proves to be exciting. Sit tight, grab your popcorn, get some water, and we are going to be celebrating love the African way. Over to you, Dr. Hlami.
Thank you so much, Aventina. I really like, co-hosting the show with you. Indeed, we are talking about love, the African way. Today, we are not alone. Sometimes we like talking about these things, but yes, I think we want to bring people who are celebrating love the African way. So today we are not alone. We are bringing, our whole, our guests. We thought, okay, how do we do it? Let's see if we can get, the guests from different countries so that we can share the different experiences. We are excited today that we have a couple from South Africa, but also we have a couple from Zimbabwe. Aventina, it would have been nice. Maybe next time we'll also get, maybe two other couples from either East Africa or West Africa, so that, we see how they're actually celebrating, these things with us. Our couples today, we have Mr. and Mrs. Kosa Matimu. They're gonna tell us a little bit more about themselves. But we also have a couple from Zimbabwe, that is Mr. and Mrs. Tawanda Hove. Let's see, Mr. Tawanda Hove, just greet our listeners and say a little bit about who you are, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. My name is Tawanda Hove, and this is my beautiful wife. Maybe she can introduce herself.
I'm Rumbizai Hove.
Okay, hold on. Tawanda, what does that mean? And Rumbizai, what does that mean?
Okay, so Tawanda means like we are growing, we're expanding. I think the Zulu equivalent would be Wandile. So yes,
Okay.
it talks about expansion, about growth. Then
Could we say we are growing in love today?
yeah, yes.
Okay, Rumbizai, what does that
my
mean?
name, Rumbizai, it's a Shona name. In English, it means praise. In Zulu, I guess it means Dumisani.
Okay.
Yeah, basically that's it.
Yeah, more of
Wow.
non-Dumiso, I think.
Non-Dumiso.
Yeah.
Non-Dumisa. Wow, that is so beautiful. I mean, I can write something around, Tawanda Rumbizai. It's like, we are
Yeah.
growing in love, and,
Yeah.
we are actually being thankful. We give praise, for the love
Yeah.
that we are celebrating today. Oh, thank you so much. And how is Zimbabwe doing today? Is it hot? Is it rainy? And I know in South Africa currently we have been experiencing, some rainy, heavy rains in the different parts of South Africa. How is it today in Zimbabwe?
Yeah, I pretty think it's much of the same. I think, yeah, it's lots of rain, especially in the north, like Harare is located in the northern parts of the country. Yeah, I think we've had lots of rain. We most likely will have a good harvest, you know.
Okay.
The farmer always talking about harvest.
Yes, yes, he's a farmer. Yes, we today we are harvesting love. So just
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more about, how or maybe how long have you been married? How long have you been together?
Okay. Uh, and okay, when you ask how long we've been married, there are two things. We've been married traditionally, and
Okay,
also done the white wedding.
okay,
Traditionally, we got married in November 2016.
okay.
That's when we came with the lobola or the rora or the bride
Okay.
price, as we may call it
Okay,
in.
we will come to that because we want to get a little bit more, those excitements that come with it and things like that. Hmm. Thank
Okay,
you so much.
okay.
Then I will come back to you. Let me get, our other guest, Matimu, Kosa, and Yolanda. Are you there? Just say hello to our listeners and tell us a little bit more about who you are.
Hello to
Yes,
everyone.
yes.
Thank you for the welcome. Yes, my name is Matimu, and this is my wife Yulenda. Yeah,
Okay.
Well,
we met back in high school, and I think I'll leave my wife to explain the details.
So this is the high school kind of love.
Yeah, we are high school sweethearts.
Okay.
yeah.
No. Okay. So no, I think we'll get more into, the details and really, really because we are really celebrating, love. And you have met, your counterpart, and we decided to go with the young people today. We wanted to know how you're celebrating, love because we are celebrating Valentine's Day. And on the other hand, we have a couple that is actually coming, from Zimbabwe. Okay, so welcome to the show. Sit tight and let us have a conversation. Aventina,
Yes, Doc. I'm
yes,
right
Dr.
here and I'm blown away by the stories, Tawanda, the meaning, the courses as well, Matimo. Is like all of it is synchronized and it's beautiful to watch young people who are embracing love the African way. But going back to the business of the day, to our couples, starting with you, Mr. Kosa and Mrs. Kosa, please tell us, how do you celebrate Valentine's Day? Does it mean anything to you? And if it does, what does it mean? And how do you celebrate it? Please, can we have the juice? Our listeners are waiting for some juice here. So, can we bring the spice and the juice to our stories? Please share with us how you celebrate Valentine's Day.
Thank you. So the truth is, we we never celebrated Valentine's Day up until we got married. Um, and yeah, I think it was all. I can take the blame for that. It was all because of my my hard-headedness that I didn't see a need or this day of any value. But I did see that my wife really appreciates and loves all everything that goes with Valentine, and I think she softened me up. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, I think I've softened his heart around Valentine's Day. And I think for me, the reason why it has been a special thing, it's because it's an opportunity to intentionally show love to one another. Though we show love to one another in different ways throughout the year, but Valentine's Day gives us an opportunity to intentionally make it all about love. And since we got married, for me, it has also been a day where It's an opportunity to look at how other couples celebrate love and then take those creative ideas and implement them throughout the year. So it's very special. Yeah.
Wow, wow,
Yeah.
quite interesting. And over to our other couple, Mr. and Mrs. Hoover. Please tell us, share with us, how do you celebrate Valentine's Day? How do you normally do it?
Yeah, okay. So for us, Valentine's is a bit of a mixed bag, right? In terms of how we actually celebrate it. I have a traveling job, so we're not always together, but we've always tried to spice it up or make sure that even though we may not be in the same place together, like today, there's always a celebration of love. So one of the things that happens is if I'm not around, I can like hide the present in the house and just tell her on Valentine's Day, please look for this thing of mine. I forgot it. Then she stumbles on a
Oh,
present.
wow.
Yeah, at times if I'm around, yeah, she can prepare our small candlelight dinner and stuff. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of gifts exchanging, a lot of present buying. Yeah, but a lot of intimacy, right? We're married, right?
Yes.
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 Uh-huh.
He actually hasn't seen much because as he travels a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but as he had just said, at this one point, I just set out my candlelit dinner on the floor, not on the table, anything, with rose petals and the lights, and also a hot, warm bubble bath for him with petals. And I gave him a warm bath.
Wow. Oh,
So if
wow.
we stuck around for more time, there is more in the bag.
Oh,
Yeah, but
wow.
before that as well.
That is
Wow.
quite fascinating. Celebrating love the African way, bringing it our own feel, our own vibe. I see our people are joining in. I see a lot of people from Zim. They're saying, there's Mr. Tawanda here who's saying, good evening, everyone, and our lovely couple. My sister Rumizai and my brother in law Tawanda. Welcome, 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 Tawanda. So you share the same name with your in-law. That's interesting. Yeah? Talk about
Yeah, no, Tawanda is a
destiny.
quite a common name, eh?
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that's brilliant. Dr. Hlami, I'm learning a lot about love. I'm learning a
Yes.
lot about love. I don't know how you feel about this. This is brilliant.
It's just the beginning of the show and it's exciting already. And I think what I like is that both of them see Valentine as a very important day, but you can also see from both of them that they do celebrate love throughout the year, but they take this Valentine Day as a special day to actually go an extra mile. And I just like what Matimu said, that at first I didn't see the value, but because I'm in the union with somebody who sees the value, then he adapts in order for him to actually, celebrate, Valentine's. I hope our listeners there, if you are sitting together as couples, I hope you are also enjoying, this Valentine Day together. We want to continue with the show. And Aventina, I don't know if I'm not able to see some of the comments that are coming in the chat, but if you see that, we will be appreciating our listeners, to make some comments on how you celebrate, Valentine. At this point in time, we will take a very short, break. When we come back, we're gonna talk a little bit more about marriage, because as you have indicated, you don't just start by celebrating Valentine, what we heard. You went through the marriage and all that. And when we come back, we want to learn more about, how you went through, this marriage. So we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we'll continue to celebrate, love the African way, but really dwelling much into the marriage part. So at this point in time, we're going to take a short break.
Streaming 24/7. 24/7.
Bold Moves Radio.
Bold Moves Radio.
Afrika nakupenda sana. Oh, Afrika nakupenda sana.
Okay, welcome back. Today is the show where we are celebrating love, the African way. And as I've indicated, that we'll be talking a little bit more about marriage. But maybe before we do that, we know that in Africa, although we are one continent, but we have different rituals, we have different ways of practicing things. I came across, or somebody told me about how other countries do it. I think there is a tribe, maybe I think it's in Ghana or somewhere, or in Namibia. I was told that with that tribe, when a guy or a man see a woman that they love, they actually go and kidnap, that woman. They take her home and keep her safe. Then the family of the woman have to actually go looking for her, probably in Tsonga, itaku inyagelani, and the story goes on and on. And I've been thinking, what happens if, the woman doesn't like the man and now she has been kidnapped and all that? I don't know if you have heard about, such stories before. I hope, Matimu, you didn't have to kidnap, Yolanda. Or Tawana, you didn't have to kidnap, your wife before marriage. Okay, so let's go back, to how it happened, with you. You spoke about, paying, dowry. Maybe let me start with Tawanda. How did it happen? Did you have to pay dowry? And how do you call it in your language? And what is that memorable moment that you can recall during, that session?
Okay, so for us, we call it Rora. If you are from
You
the
call
north,
it what?
Rora. Like
Okay.
it's Lobola, but replaced with R's. So instead of Lobola,
Okay.
we call it Rora. So
Okay.
yeah, that's the equivalent of bride price. So yeah, I think for us, what happened is I had to save quite a significant amount of money. I think something close to like 5,000 or so. And
Yeah, you don't have to tell us how much.
okay.
Yeah, but yeah.
So after saving,
Mhm.
we then go and propose for a date. We're given a list of the things which the in-laws expected in terms of cows, in terms of the clothing for the in-laws, in terms of the goats, and also in terms of grocery as well. Then I then have to summon like the elders from the village. Then we go there with a go-between who then goes and approaches my wife, or at that time bride to be of fiance family, and then request the hand in marriage. They accepted. The negotiations start. So for me, what was quite interesting though was generally in Zimbabwe you can always negotiate bride price and say, let's say if they charge 200 and you've got 100 bucks, you can negotiate and say, no, look, I've got 100 bucks. But for me, my in-laws, they just said, look, this is our price. We're not negotiating anything. Yeah, but they just said, okay, pay what you have, then you finish the rest later. So yeah, I found that very hilarious because it was the first time I ever had of such an experience within our culture whereby people refuse to negotiate even on a single item.
Yeah, but you were very serious because there you are sitting together. And what was your memorable? Yeah, what was memorable for you, Mrs. Hove?
What was memorable for me in a nutshell was just the honor that he had for me. He could have taken it or had it any other way, but he chose to respect our culture. He chose to respect me and come and pay the right price as they had given him, as he had said that they had given him at least before, and he knew what he was getting into. But he chose to honor that, and then he just came with whatever that he had. But just generally speaking, Lobola, yeah, for me, it is not quite a memorable. It's a memorable in a sour taste.
I was broke. I think I felt to even go home to see my mom. I felt like to borrow to go see my mom.
Okay.
You
Oh
know,
no, that is interesting.
I have to chip in. I think I have to chip in actually.
Okay, that's interesting. Let's hear from Mr. and Mrs. Kosa. How was it like for you?
It's quite amazing how the similarities between the two cultures, but for us it was quite an amazing experience. It was my first marriage and her first marriage, hopefully the last.
Yeah.
so it was very interesting, the even the build up towards the day, the
Yeah.
excitement from my family, and it seemed like she was more stressed than
Yeah.
than me. So the excitement, the build up, the getting of the gifts, the calling of the uncles, and everyone just was so excited and looking forward to the day. And when the day finally arrived, so this custom that I stay at home, and my uncles and my aunts, they are the ones that go and do the negotiations. But you can tell from the stories that they told, of the what happened, and also the pictures that were taken, that it was quite a joyous event, which is not customary. In most cases, the negotiations are tense, and it's
Yeah.
families don't see eye to eye, and something is too high, something is too low. But from what we hear, the two families got along very well. It was a joyous negotiation, laughter, and yeah, I think that was the most beautiful part, to see the two families and loving each other. So I think she
So,
she has to say about what was happening on their side.
on their side, yes, Yolanda, how was it from your side?
Yeah, I think he's right to say during the build up, it was a bit it was a bit stressful for myself, which I think is the same for most ladies because you are the host. So if you're the one who's getting lower lad, you are the host. So you want to make sure that everything is in order. So regardless of me trying to be a perfectionist, the most beautiful thing and memorable thing was the good communication that was there between the two families even prior. His family will check up, are you guys ready, are you sure you're ready, so that whole thing of feeling like we are already one family even before, so it kind of like eased the stress where you knew it doesn't have to be very perfect. They are not expecting us to be very perfect, and it turned out very well. So that actually made me relax. And I think when we heard about Lobola, like Matimu was saying, that it was our first real experience. You can hear that so and so is getting Lobola, but you're not involved. So as soon as you are involved, you start to think Lobola is about negotiation. So it's going to be hard, it's going to be tense, and you have to experience it for yourself. And we realize that possibly every couple has a different story to tell. We experience it differently because our families are different. So that was the most
Yeah.
memorable thing for me. My husband has to tell me because I
Aventina.
can go on and on and on.
No, no, that is true, because when excited and you are experiencing and you are sharing something that happened to you, we get carried to actually, share that. Aventina, over to you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm sitting here, I'm enjoying listening to our beautiful couples, and I cannot help but think about today and how we're currently celebrating the union between two people. There are some people who go the white wedding route, there are some people who go the traditional route, there are some people who choose to do the blended route. Now, I want our lovely couples to take us through their days. Why did they choose the route that they choose? And what were some of the interesting things during the planning? Who decides what to wear and when? Do you have people from the families, both families being involved or not? So I want them to take us through the different types of celebrations of marriages or weddings that they chose to go with, and then why? We can start with you, Mr. and Mrs. Hoover. Let's hear your story. I heard you saying there was lobola and there's white wedding. So the choice, what influenced the choice, and in the planning, how does tradition come in? Is both families involved? So take us through that. Take us through that.
Okay, maybe I'll go first, and my wife will come in and just maybe add other details from your perspective. So for us, we are both Christians, and I think most of our teenagehood life and a young adult life, we're committed Christians within our churches. So for us, in as much as we always acknowledge um, our tradition, which we're proud of in our culture, it was quite clear that we were always going to do the white wedding because that is the culture even within the churches which we belong to, whereby the expectation is that at some point you have to have a white wedding after the bola before you stay with the bride. You have to stay with your you have to do a white wedding. So we started off with the traditional side, whereby we have to ensure that, or culturally and customarily, we are complying to the expectations. So yes, we come from the same tribe, but from various dialects of both Shona. But I'm Karanga, and she is what we call Manika, similar to the people in Mozambique, the Manika people in Mozambique as well, but both being Shona. So both families are involved in the planning, whereby there are traditional protocols whereby I'm not officially allowed to set foot in a debt or at a house without paying the lobola. Now, the lobola has to come first. Then, when there's an agreement between the elders, that is the only time that I'm invited into their homestead. So, yeah, there was a coming together of both families, negotiations were done. Then, upon agreement, yeah, then there was a big celebration after. But the celebration was more of just a bit of casual dancing, eating, and people making merry. Then they come now the white wedding part whereby we dress up and stuff. But I think the nitty gritties or the processes and the stressful parts about the white wedding, I think I'll leave it to my wife to tell because I think Lobola is quite easy, but I think the white wedding is the stressful one. You can end up marrying when you've already fallen out of love. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe before we even talk of the lobola or the rola, as we say, the shona and the white wedding, he chose that he's going to do it the English way. He proposed. So this was the actual onset of us agreeing to get married. He actually did the English proposal whereby he booked a restaurant, invited a few friends and relatives, and then without my knowledge, and then posed the question.
Yes.
And of course, it was a yes, we're here.
She had no choice.
Uh-huh.
So that's how it started. And after having said yes, that's when we were during our relationship. There was a tete involved. I don't know what they call it, or
Babagazi, auntie.
an auntie or Baba Kazi, as he had said, who will be helping with the negotiations with the two families because he can't do it on his own. And at the time, yeah, they won't listen to me if I'm to negotiate on his behalf. So that go between that tete will send messages to the two families on the dates, actual dates to get hold of the lobola, the actual prices, and the actual list of the lobola, the things that have to be given. The tete will be the one in charge of that. And after everything has been done with the lobola, we moved on to the wedding. Oh my God! Every lady will tell you it's a girl's, it's every princess wish to get married. But planning a wedding is one tough thing, but it always comes out together. I'm sure it's all because you'll be looking at the bigger picture, the love you have for the person. So the planning becomes easier. And of course, the men will be forking out the money.
Yeah, it always gives us broke. My brother is different, but I was super broke. I was not in debt, at least I spent what I had, but yeah, it finishes the wallet. Like,
And then
Okay.
after the wedding, for us, because we are really in Zimbabwe, there is no really like yes, we have lobola or aurora as a culture, but we don't have it as the Zulus do. That they actually have like a separate wedding, like where they go somewhere and celebrate. We don't really have that. For us, after the wedding, that's when you don't just grab your wife and go to the honeymoon. Maybe that's one notable thing to say that maybe distinguishes us to other cultures, that we actually do what we call kuperekwa, or we're now handing over the bride to the groom's family after the wedding. So that's when you go to the groom's wife, to the groom's house, and then you do all the cooking and all showing them that I'll be taking good care of you from now and then and onwards. And you do the boiling of water in the morning. You wake up very early, sweep the yard, and then boil water for everyone who will be there in the homestead to bath, and then also buy the lotions and everything. Give them the lotions that someone can actually say, me, I don't use this brand. I want this brand. And there's the Mrora. It's up to you to make sure that it's availed. So yeah, basically that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, can I quickly just say that's one
Okay.
of the cultural things I
Okay.
don't like.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, please.
Yeah,
Sorry.
then I will come back to you. I will come back to you. Let me hear from Matimu and Yolanda. How was it like for you?
Baby.
For us, we decided to do just the African traditional wedding, and I think after that, that's when we just decided to go to an officiating pastor at the church we were going to, and just to sign. And then on that day, we just had a special dinner with close friends. So it was not such a big uh, event. So we just celebrated the day when it was official, and we got our marriage certificate signed with close family, and celebrated that day. So the big event for us was the lobola, where both families came, and the price was negotiated and paid, and then after that was the big event with all the dancing and the colorful clothes, and yeah, so that's
Yeah.
for us was our start of our marriage from there.
Okay. Whew. I know, Yolanda, you want to add something quickly before we go for an ad break?
Now, I think you may take the 8th break. You said a mouthful.
Okay, so we're gonna take the ad break, and then when we come back, we continue to really talk about these unique cultures, but also the unique way of doing it. So we're gonna take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue to have a conversation. Stay tuned. Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. We continue with the show tonight. We have our two couples. We have Mati Mukosa and Yolanda, but we also have Tawana and the wife, from Zimbabwe. Okay, we continue really getting, to understand, some of, the cultural things that we are doing. Okay, so here there's something that I have learned, in some of the cultures, like somewhere in Nigeria. they have something special, something that is called, they call it the tasting of the four elements. So this is what is happening when they are actually having, this lobola thing, or maybe when they are celebrating their union. What happens here, they select four tastes, something that is bitter, something that is sweet, something that is hot, like pepper like, and something that is sour. And they allow the couple to taste that. So during the tasting, there's somebody who's explaining the essence of the whole thing is that the couple need to understand that, throughout the marriage, things will be sour, things will be bitter, sometimes, things will be sweet, and sometimes, things will be hot. And they guide them on how to go through and navigate, through those, different stages. I don't know, Matimu, if you have heard about, such ritual. If not, I'm sure even during your preparation of the marriage, there are some ways of, guiding you. How does that happen? How did it happen in your case? Who give, whatever advice that you need so that you know how to go through the journey of marriage? I'll start with Matimu and Yolanda.
Okay, so just to pick up before we went for the ad break. So for me, it is that activity whereby his family come dressed in a certain outfit. They all come dressed looking the same. And then I will be in my own outfit. But then once everything is done, I have to change and dress the same way as them. So that is a custom just to show that I am now part of them. So when my aunts are giving me an advice before I leave, what they say is that you now have to do things the way that they do. You need to learn their customs as well. So that's what it signifies. You need to go and you need to be teachable to learn the customs, and to that signifies that you are one of us now, you know? And yeah, there's a lot of learning that comes with it. So that is one of the customs that comes with a significant advice in terms of expectations from both families. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have to
Okay.
eat anything
No.
bitter and
Yeah.
I could imagine if you were to eat something like that, maybe it's gonna be acha, maybe. You'll be eating acha, maybe. Okay, Tawana, I don't know if this custom as they practice it in Nigeria. If not, what kind of advice are you getting when you go into this journey?
Yeah, so for us, I think it's always a fusion of our traditional culture and our faith. So from our cultural side, I think we ran out of time, but I wanted to say like the, there's the third element I think I was talking about, whereby after the wedding ceremony, you don't take your bride off to the honeymoon. She's made to cook, clean, and the aunts start telling her about the family traditions, cultures, and so forth. And then I'm saying like, look, I've paid Lobola, I've exhausted my savings in my wedding, and still I can't go for honeymoon whilst they're talking to her, which for me really is a big turn off. But anyway, it's at that stage that she's introduced, I think, in depth to the norms of our particular family, how we do things. Although it's happening over one day, it's not as extensive as life will demand, but at least that's a time whereby she gets to know in terms of the expectations of what a Murora or a bride or a wife within, or a mother within the family, the roles in which she has to assume. From the guy side, I think it's a bombardment from so many angles, because yeah, there are so many uncles who'll be telling you now like how to live with a woman, what to expect to the woman. So I think right from just before Lobola, right up to your wedding, everyone is a marriage seminar for you from your, yeah, in terms of how to live with a woman. Then yeah, of course there's premarital counseling from church, which is like I think about 5 weeks before your wedding. So yeah, I'll say those are the kind of premarital rituals which happen before you actually start staying together.
Yeah, yeah. basically that. Yeah.
Thank you.
And also, like usually in Zimbabwean weddings, there is usually a pastor who preaches even
Mm-hmm.
on the wedding day. Gives you maybe just a little bit also information and advice, last minute advice before you jump into. I remember there was once this who pastor who spoke about the cake. Here, the fruit cake is very common as the wedding cake. So they'll just be also giving the same example that you were talking of, the one in Nigeria, whereby there are different kind of taste, the sweet, the sour, and the lights. So they'll just be explaining that this cake for it to come out the way it is different nutrients. There's sugar, which is sweet. There's salt, which is bitter. There are fruits, which are nice and um, delicate and all to come up with a fruit cake. But if it was
Wow.
just a fruit cake with sugar, it wouldn't be a pleasant fruit cake. If it
Wow.
was just a fruit cake with salt, it wouldn't be pleasant as well. So all the mixtures of the sweet and the sour, different tastes coming up with the cake, make up a marriage. So
Yeah.
that's why it's so common to have a fruit cake as a wedding cake in Zimbabwe because it's
Oh, wow. That is so interesting. That is so interesting. You know, when you are talking about weddings, marriage, for me, it's all about fun. It's a joyous occasion. So clearly, whether it be traditional or the white wedding, we always have that part where you need to select the theme songs. The steps, the vitana steps tamjado. So now I want to know from our beautiful couple, tell us, what was your song choices for your weddings? And why did you choose the steps, the dancing that was done at your wedding? What was the thought process behind those? Mina, I'm all about the fun stuff, guys. Let's share with people. Let's give them, those tiny little bits of information. Share the memories with us. So please take us through that song choice and the steps that you chose to celebrate your day.
Who should go first? The Kosas?
Anyone who's dying to go, Kosa, you can go first.
Yeah, I think for our part, there was a lot of dancing, and the dancing was not really coordinated, but it was there was a lot of freestyle dancing, and it was just there was no restriction. You should have seen one of my uncles jumping up and down, doing crazy dances. So it was so much. It was filled with joy, and the music. I think she chose she chose the songs, the themes, and everything. I only came at the end of the part when I knew everything was done, paid. I'm there to celebrate and take over and get my bride.
Yeah, and I think since we only did the traditional Lobola ceremony, I think one of the key highlights for me was I was expecting like a very quiet ceremony because it's a lobola, so it must just be family and it must be quiet. So during the week leading to the lobola ceremony, the parents started talking. His family actually requested for a DJ, and I was really confused. Why do we need a DJ? So it was different and exciting. There was an entry song. They came in with a song, and I didn't choose the song. Apparently, my mother chose the song together with his mother, and that song was danced to throughout Umu Jehovah Avuliminyango throughout the day, and also immediately after they were done with the negotiations and they have reached the agreement, then they danced again. Like that's when the non-coordinated dancing started happening. People running around the yard, dancing, and all those things. So yeah, those were the steps and the
Oh,
music.
wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
always interesting. I know there's always stories about choices of songs. Now, over to you, my sister, Rumbidzai. Tell us, did you have any special songs for your? You know how girls are. You always dream about every single step. Did you have any special songs planned in the steps?
Oh yes, yes we did. We had a special song. I'll just speak of this one particular where we danced the two of us. It was a beautiful dance. It was just the two of us, and then afterwards, they asked other couples who are married to just join in as we celebrate love.
Wow, this is so beautiful, Doc, to hear. And with that, I would like to involve our audience, our listeners. Can we please have some of the common or some of the famous first dance songs or special wedding songs that people were playing in their wedding ceremonies? And on that note, good people, let us go for an ad break. And when we come back, we'll continue on this beautiful journey of love. I'm really enjoying it. Let's go to an ad break and then we'll come back shortly. We are back from the ed. Oh, wow, I'm enjoying this talk. While we are waiting for our audience, our listeners to come with the special songs, I think now we can move on. I'm enjoying this. You know, I feel like I could just sit back, Doctor, and just listen to our beautiful couple tell our stories. And unfortunately, we are what? We are only left with about 10 minutes. So we are really, really moving towards the end of the show. But when we're talking traditions, I don't know if you guys heard. I've heard about a tradition where when the bride goes on stage, the elderly people will start spraying money on them. I would love that. Money is always nice to have. So that sounds like a very good try. In our respective countries now with our hosts, South Africa and Zimbabwe, are you guys familiar with that? Is there one such a thing? Doc, do you know about this culture?
I've heard about it. I think it's in Nigeria.
Hmm?
Yeah, I think it's in Nigeria. I think there's a tribe in Nigeria where they actually do that. You know, when the bride goes and the uncles and people, they really throw in money as a sign of, celebrating, with them. Yeah, so they do it in Nigeria. Okay,
Oh,
so maybe I can see when we are talking about beautiful things, the time is just running. We feel that we could be staying with you for an hour. But, as we wrap up, I know that is one thing to celebrate Lobola. It's one thing to celebrate, to have a wedding. But it's another thing to actually keep, the marriage and to keep the life, alive. So maybe just in a nutshell, what do you do to make sure that you spice it up? Matimu, you were saying, that is your high school lover, and I can see the flame is still burning. What do you do to make sure that, you actually keep on, the love and burning? How do you spice it up?
Yeah, I think how do we spice it up? I think we we spend a lot of we prioritize time together. You know, it can get too busy, especially now that we have two kids and there's routines we need to work. But I think for us, the most important thing, I think, ever since I think for about the last 2 years now, for every second week, we do a date night together. We go out, whether we go out or we just spend the time together, but we make sure it's just us two and just do a check-in to say, hey, what's happening in your life, um, uh, what have I missed, and we just spend time together and reflect and also plan. But it's a good time. Every second week we make sure we don't skip those, so it's a big priority in our lives. And also to make sure that, yeah, we always keep each other in check. How do we spice it up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, date nights have been very big for us for the past 2 years and very fruitful because we've been very intentional about them in terms of it's not just going out to eat, but then very intentional about what we talk about. Then we dress up, and if it's a movie date
Okay.
night, we dress up for that. So we are very intentional
Okay.
about it. So that's how we've been for just the two of us without the
Okay.
kids, but just us. Yeah.
Okay. That is
Yeah.
interesting. I like, the date night, and to be intentional about it. Tawanda, how do you spice it up? How do you keep the flame burning?
Yeah, okay. I think similar to Mr. and Mrs. Timu, I think it's similar. We also try to invest in going out quite a lot, just being the two of us to make sure that yeah, we communicate, we still have fun together. But I think also there's an element of prioritizing what's important to the other person. I think what makes the relationships fall apart generally is when one feels neglected or taken for granted. So, if, for example, receiving flowers on Valentine's Day is important for my wife, I may not see what the big fuss is about, but I'll do it to make sure that I cover that need. So, I think it's just keeping track of what the needs are and trying to satisfy them. I don't know if you have anything there.
Yeah, I just wanted to say as well. Yes, we may do all the flowers and everything nice, the movie nights, the date nights, the eating out, the picnics, and the lights. But I think for most people married, what really makes the love fade is having unresolved issues. So I think that's one most important that as couples, as a couple, we prioritize solving issues when they crop up and not just brushing them aside, solving them. Then we can go to our date nights. Then we can go for our picnic and the likes. And also, I just enjoy also what we do, just a night in watching our Netflix, especially now with the rains and all. It'll be a good atmosphere.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Wow.
I
This
really,
is beautiful. This is so beautiful. We have one of our listeners, Tsunzu Gavuma. Tsunzu Vuma says the one of the songs that is commonly played as a theme song at weddings is that one by Mr. Bao, number one. You know that one? You are my number one. Oh,
my
that is the
number
one.
one. Ooh,
It's a,
you are
yes,
my
it's a
number one.
beautiful song.
I love it. I love
It
it.
is. Yeah, it's a beautiful one. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough for joining us on our show. You make us look beautiful. You make us fall in love. You make us want to do this thing again. Some of us, we're thinking of going back there because of your stories. It is
Absolutely.
lovely,
Absolutely.
lovely. Yeah, so now
Absolutely.
before we wrap it up, Pastor Strikes like saying, what is your parting thoughts? So we cannot leave our guests without giving us that one last parting shot. So over to you, Mr. Kosa. We'll start with your side and then we'll come back to you, Mr. Hoover. In your family, what would you like to leave Africans with? How can we embrace love the African way? Over to you, Mr. Kos.
When you say that, we today in the morning when we're getting ready to go to work and everyone going to school, our 5-year-old son asked us, so what is Valentine? And we're explaining, and what is love? And we are trying to explain to a 5-year-old what is love. So the only thing we could remember is that, we just taught him a song that we like singing. We just said, love is patient and kind. Love is doesn't boast. Is not arrogant or rude. Love does not insist on its own way.
Why don't we sing it quickly?
We're singing him, we made a song for him at some point.
Oh,
So we were
wow.
Yeah.
singing to him, says, love is patient and kind, love is not envy or boast, it
It
is
is
not
not
arrogant
arrogant
or
or rude.
rude, it
It
does
does
not
not
insist
insist
on
on
its
its
own
own
way,
way.
it
It
is
is
not
not
irritable
irritable
or
or
resentful,
resentful.
it does not
Not rejoice.
rejoice. And he
In
really laughed.
Oh, that's so
He was
beautiful. That's so
singing that
Wow,
beautiful.
song. He
so
was singing that song
beautiful.
to school. So I think that, yeah, it actually comes from First Corinthians 13, and that's the
Yes.
best definition we had for him of what love is. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, that is so beautiful. And Mr. Hoover and family, what will be your parting shots to your listeners today?
Yeah, I think for us it's pretty similar. I'm quite charmed that they talked about 1 Corinthians 13. Yeah, for us, I think we'll just summarize it as just trusting God, because there are bad seasons in marriage and there are good seasons as well. So what usually gets us through the bad times is our faith. So I think just having faith in God really helps us to weather whatever storm it might be. So I think our advice to anyone else would be, I think that's a working. You can hold on to God when it's difficult to hold on to.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Thank you so much. Both of you, you've been beautiful throughout. You've been easy to host. And you know what? We thank you for availing yourself. We thank you for sharing your stories with us. And you know what, Doc? I hope this not only benefited us, but our
Yep.
listeners. I hope this has sparked memories of their special wedding days and wedding celebrations. I hope it has done something to know to invoke and evoke that love that we're supposed to be sharing today. So, on that note, we have 2 minutes left. Doc, what is your take on today's show?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just sitting here. It's Valentine's Day, and I'm looking at these young couples. And I think I feel touched. I think we need to go back. We need to go
Exactly.
back. We need to
We are
go
going
back. We
back.
need to go back. The way they are sharing it. They just make it so easy. and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I think for me, what I've learned is that it's not a one way. It
yeah,
takes two to tangle. People have to be intentional about it. It's not one person and the other one is pulling on the other direction, but both of them, they want to build together. And I think that is something that I'm taking with me. It's really, really exciting. Also, that song that one of the listeners indicated, you are my number one. Ooh,
yeah,
you are my number one. Oh, you.
yeah.
I know that song. Loka kaku nitakushabelanka kankatango. Yeah.
Exactly.
Nitakuakela muti shiluba shamino.
Yes.
I don't know how you
On
sing it
that note,
on
Doc,
that
let's
note.
leave the singing to the people. But on that note, thank you everyone. Thank you, DJ Mercy, Pastor Greg, for producing us today. Beautiful show. Thank you to our listeners. There wouldn't be a show without you guys. So same time, okay, it won't be same place for me, but same day next week, Tuesday, we are back here and the show will be proving to be interesting. Stay tuned and thank you for us. And that is bye bye for us. Bye bye for now. Thank you so much.